Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Where are we today? Well, that is the Death Star. That's right. We are in Sacramento, California. We are on state capitol grounds, the genesis of all crazy gun laws. And oh, by the way, California, you have a new Senate bill that was just introduced that is a big, fat trap. And I'm going to explain it to you because they're going to try to sell you on they're trying to be benevolent, they're trying to be compassionate towards gun owners. They're going to talk about how this is going to try to save lives, but this is a gigantic trap where people are literally going to sign their own disarmament. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about how California should not fall for this terrible bill. Okay, California and America, you might want to pay attention because, as you know, anytime there's a crazy new gun law, it's going to start right there in that building and then it's going to spread like wildfire across the country. What are we talking about today? We are talking about Senate Bill 320. It was just introduced here in the California State Senate. Now, the one thing I like about reading California legislation is they put a really nice bill summary right at the very beginning. So you don't have to go deep diving into it to kind of figure out what exactly this law does. And the bill summary, as it relates to what we're going to talk about today, states the following. This bill would require the Department of Justice to develop and launch a system to allow persons who resides in California to voluntarily add their own name to and subsequently remove their own name from the California Do Not Sell list with the purpose of preventing the sale or transfer of firearms to the person who adds their name as specified. The bill would allow a person to add their name to the list by submitting specified information to a sheriff or municipal police department and would require that the sheriff or municipal police department to verify the information and send it to the Department of Justice. By imposing additional duties on local law enforcement, this bill would impose a state-mandated local program. Okay, and then many of you were like, oh great, I put myself on the list. How exactly do I come off the list? Well, the bill states, this bill would allow a person after a specified period of time to request removal from the list. The bill would make a person's inclusion or removal from the list confidential except for disclosure to a law enforcement officer acting in the performance of their duties and would authorize a person whose confidentiality is violated to bring a private civil action for appropriate relief. And if this bill were to be enacted into law, the effective date would be January 1st of 2027. Now, it sounds mildly innocuous when you read the legislative summary. But then you get into the details and you take a look at the actual language that would be implemented into law. And this is one of the things that concerns us. Once the registry is operative, a person who resides in California may request to be added to the Do Not Sell list by submitting the completed form and proof of identification to a sheriff's office or municipal police department. The sheriff's office or municipal police department receiving the form shall transmit the form to the Department of Justice in a manner after receiving the form. The department shall, on an ongoing basis, ensure that properly completed forms received from a sheriff's office or municipal police department are uploaded and reflected in the registry. Okay, but here's the thing you need to understand, California, is anytime your Department of Justice receives information that a person has been disqualified from possessing a firearm, guess what they do? They report it to the NICS system. And that's exactly what's going to occur here, is that your state Department of Justice is going to receive these voluntary surrender forms, what we like to sometimes call white flag laws, okay? And they're going to record that into the state registry, a state registry, by the way. But they are also equally and almost immediately going to report that to the FBI's NICS system. Now, here's the thing. The bill clearly states that when the time has passed and you can withdraw your name will be removed from the state system. But guess what? It's not coming off the NICS system. And candidly, there's no vehicle here by which there would be a mechanism to remove that information from the NICS system. So even after you believe that the state of California has reinstated your right to possess a firearm, I got news for you. You go to a gun store and you try to buy a gun, you go and try to take transfer of a firearm from a private individual through a background check, you're not going to clear the background check. You're not going to clear the background check. And why is that? Because you've been entered into the NICS system, and sometimes, folks, that is a door that only swings one way. If you don't believe me, Take a look at what's happened to many of our veterans ever since 1993, where the VA entered information onto the NICS system. It's impossible to get these people back off the list. Take a look at some of the nefarious actions by the ATF, where they were running around having people voluntarily surrender their firearms rights. Sound familiar, California? Yeah, because it's exactly what's going on here in Senate Bill 320. Those people who signed that form, there is article after article after article that you can read in which those individuals have no mechanism whatsoever to remove their prohibitions from the NICS system. And by the way, even if when you notify the state of California that you intend to remove your name from the system, they have up to 21 days to get it in, but I want you to pay attention to some of the language here as well. No sooner than 21 days after receiving a request for removal of voluntary waiver of firearm rights from a sheriff's office or municipal police department, and no later than 30 days after receiving the request, the department shall remove the person from any state-based computer system used by law enforcement agencies or others to identify prohibited persons of firearms in which the person was entered, unless the person is otherwise ineligible to possess a firearm pursuant to any other law. So take a look. That any other law is going to be federal law, because you're going to be on the NICS system and you're still going to be disqualified. And the statute specifically says that they will remove your name from what? That's right, the state system. So California, understand, if Senate Bill 320 becomes law, and there's always a distinct possibility when we're talking about that place and gun control legislation, what the state of California is doing is they are going to set a gigantic trap, and they are going to take people who are in an emotionally tumultuous situation, who believe that maybe not having access to firearms for their temporary period is going to be good for their overall health, and they are going to use that as a method by which they can permanently trap them into perpetual disarmament. So California, what can you do about this terrible piece of legislation? Well, listen, I think in the last couple of weeks you've proven that, hey, your voices can make a difference sometimes. Take a look at the death of Assembly Bill 1333. So I urge all of you to contact your state legislators right away and let them know that this is a bad piece of legislation, that you can read between the lines, that you know exactly what the state of California is up to, and they need to absolutely positively oppose this bill. All right, California, once again, it is Senate Bill 320. We'll link it up down below so that you can geek out on it for yourself. You don't have to take our word for it. If you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, and in this state, that is next to nothing, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool, tell us all about it by clicking on that link right there. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, the ability to do all of that is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. From the Death Star of gun control, Sacramento, California, thanks for watching. Stay safe.